Hello and welcome to Noggin Comics. On this episode of Tales from the Ugly Chair, we're going to be talking about Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead. Now, this DC Horror presents, Sergeant Rock versus the Army of Dead. Eduardo Risso does the art on this, which, that was the first thing that caught my attention. I should say second thing that caught my attention. The first thing that caught my attention was this is written by horror icon Bruce Campbell. Now, if you can tell, right behind Sergeant Rock and the Army versus the Army of Dead, we have the Evil Dead graphic novel, the Evil Dead films, and Army of Darkness. But Sally, I have to admit something. I have to admit two things. One, my introduction to Bruce Campbell was not Evil Dead. My introduction to Bruce Campbell was the ring announcer in Spider-Man and his following appearances in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. And I'm sure that if you're coming onto this channel, that may have been your first introduction if you're around the same age as me. But as older I got, though, and the more I got into horror, he was Ash to me. Second thing I have to admit, I don't know a damn thing about Sergeant Rock and the Easy Company. And I'm just not a fan of war comics. So, honestly, the only reason I got this book, or the only reason that we got this book, is because it was Bruce Campbell. We know that Rizzo's art was going to be great in this. Rizzo's art was always fine. For example, this Francisco Funicelli cover is awesome. But Rizzo's artwork, let's just go off the first page. I'm not spoiling anything here. Right there. Instantly, it kind of captures what to expect here. It's kind of got that old war feel to it. But also it's kind of got a Hellboy feel. Not Mignola as much as just a Hellboy feel to it. And maybe it's because the premise of this book is Sergeant Rock and the Easy Company are fighting Nazi zombies. That's it. There's really not much story behind that. And that is okay. With Rizzo's artwork and Bruce Campbell's very well done debut by the comics, this is awesome. And this is probably the best book to start off spooky season with, and our first horror scene. Well, not first horror scene, but our first October spooky season video, we should say. I think if you're looking at this, if you're looking at the DC Horror Presents line, you've got The Conjuring, The Lover, you got Soul Plumber. And just going off the first issue, we're probably going to finish this series. We did not finish Soul Plumber, and I think we only got halfway through, if not like 4 issues into The Conjuring, The Lover. I enjoyed Conjuring, The Lover. I did not enjoy Soul Plumber, but this just kind of feels like things are clicking, and that's exactly what I'm looking forward in this now. And if you're watching to say, okay, am I gonna enjoy this if I enjoy Evil Dead and Army of Darkness? And the answer to that is yes. It has the silliness of those films. It keeps that horror vibe, and you really do not need to know Sergeant Rock to enjoy this. It's kind of like, in a weird, this is gonna be a weird comparison, but to me, it kind of felt like Tom King's Human Target, that you don't need to know the character. The character's in good hands. And that's, I kind of feel like Bruce Campbell. I mean, you can actually cast Bruce Campbell as Sergeant Rock in this, and almost have this be an Evil Dead story. But talking about Evil Dead, as you can see, we've got the movies and we've got the graphic novel here. Should we do a Tales from the Ugly Chair, the Evil Dead edition, and break down that graphic novel. We have yet to read it, but maybe a comparison to the film might be needed. But if I had to say, go to a comic shop and pick up Sergeant Rock versus the Army of Dead, I would say do it. Absolutely. Uh, it is horror goodness. It's not spooky, but if you enjoy a good, fun zombie, Nazi zombie at that, uh, tale, this is one for you. But as you can tell, I'm wearing a Nerding Out beanie right now. And that is because a week from this being released, so Saturday, October 8th, I want to say, we're going to be at Nerding Out Con in Rochester, Minnesota. Maybe we might have some content there, maybe not, but we're going to do a typical comic haul video from the con. But until then, let me know. Did you pick up Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead? Did you enjoy? Have you watched and do you enjoy the Evil Dead? And what's your plans for spooky season? But thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the comic shop.